Well, hello.
Boo.
Oh my gosh, that was spooky for sure. Hello and welcome to the Drink the Music Halloween Spooktacular episode. Brian and Michaela here with you, and didn't number this one because this one is going to be a little bit different than our normal numbered episodes. Michaela, today we're putting together a playlist. Now, if you've been listening to Drink the Music, you know that I myself am not a fan of playlists unless I'm curating them, of course, because I have excellent taste. No, not really. Not really. I do have some taste, and you'll have to be the judge of how well I did. But we decided, Michaela, we were going to put together kind of a Halloween playlist, right? So not necessarily like Halloween songs, no Monster Mash here in our playlist, but these are some songs that kind of get us in the mood or the mindset or get us thinking about the scariest time of year.
Yes. I unlike you, love playlists. I think that were you did you make like
Michaela
playlists in
was
it?
a DJ in a former
I
life,
was a,
maybe
I was a
potentially.
DJ. I was actually. But I think playlists are awesome because they do something, they suit a completely different purpose, right? Where you're like in a
Absolutely.
certain
Mhm,
mood,
mhm.
or you're like telling someone you like them or something. Do you remember the playlist in the 1990s where you would make like a mixtape, and then
I
we were
do,
able to
yeah.
make a mix CD? And that is like the best gift. For example, my dad, every year on his birthday, I curate like my favorite songs that remind him of me over the course of the previous year, and I put it
Oh,
together
that's
with like
nice.
a yeah. So playlists are my thing. I love them so much. So I'm actually really excited because it's the first time that we're doing a playlist at
Mm.
Drink the Music. And this one is really interesting because it is music that we have chosen. You chose five, I chose five. They're things that we find spooky or disturbing or creepy. Or
Mhm,
just
mhm,
overall
mhm.
scary, that may or may not have really anything to do with Halloween. Because when we put this together, we were like, we don't want to do Monster Mash, we don't want to do some of like the token like Ghostbuster stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with those songs, but we just wanted something a little bit more gritty, maybe more adult, I don't know, just something a little different. And so I'm super excited about this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. This one's going to be a good one. And yeah, the playlist, dates back really kind of probably came into its heyday, with the advent of the cassette tape. People could make their own kind of mixtapes and then kind of our generation could make like mix CDs if you were uh uh the kind of person that would have like a CD burner, you could do that. So now pretty much like Spotify or iTunes or whatever just makes a playlist for you. You don't even have to do it. They're just like, "Oh, it seems like you like this kind of stuff. Here, let us do that." And so maybe that's how kids are making them nowadays. I don't know, but a Halloween party is the perfect time for a playlist, and that's what we're going to be getting into today. So, Michaela, before we get into crafting our tales of terror and music, what we need to do is make a cocktail. And luckily for everyone, we have a really good one. We made this together actually, and I've not seen you as excited for a cocktail in a long time. So we better take a quick break because I can tell you are ready for one. I'm ready for one. So let's do it. Take a quick break, and we'll be right back to mix it up.
Campfire mules. That's
Wow.
what we're making. When
Yeah.
you think of a campfire, right? Like you stop
Yes.
laughing at me.
Uh-huh.
You think of a
Uh-huh.
when you think of a campfire, right? We
Mm-hmm.
did in the lobby bar one of your favorite like fall drinks called the flannel.
Yes.
When you think of a campfire, you think of s'mores. A lot of people think of s'mores. It's like an American staple. If you don't know what a s'more is, because you're listening from America, from somewhere other than America, look it up. It's really interesting. It's got marshmallows that are toasted over a flame. It's got chocolate. It's got graham crackers. This is not that, but this
Mm-hmm.
I think is
Mm-hmm.
like an adult version for people that maybe don't want to consume 4 billion calories of chocolate, but do want to feel like grown up and like smoky and dark. And this is like the most adult version of a Halloween cocktail we've ever done, because everything else we did in the past couple of years at Drink the Movies for Halloween was like sugary, and it was like purple, and it was cool. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
this is also very cool, but it's a very very different kind of cool. And so I'm super excited about this one, Brian.
Yeah, this one's a lot less sweet than some of the others, even though this does get garnished with a toasted marshmallow. It's really providing, some of that aroma of, kind of that like burnt sugar kind of thing that you're getting on the toasted marshmallow. Really, really delicious stuff. And yet, yeah, we've done pumpkin drinks, we've done these kind of sweeter purple drinks. I even found a can of hard cider that was flavored like candy corn. It was disgusting. I didn't buy
Ugh.
it. Get that out of here. Come on, 1911. I love your stuff, but that's a whole different episode, Michaela. We're gonna have to get into that because today what we're making is delicious. It is the campfire mule. It comes from delish.com. So basically, you're going to mix this up. It's a mule, right? So I've done these 1,000 times. This one's going to call for some bourbon though. It's calling for specifically some smoked bourbon. So what we did was we took 1.5 ounces of bourbon, put it into a little mason jar, and then I used one of those little like smoke disc things on top, and just kind of got some smoke down in there. You could do that. You could do if you have like a smoking gun, you could do that. You could even you could probably even use like a smoky like peaty scotch if you wanted that to a little bit of the smoke flavor. If you don't want to go through the hassle of that, you can totally skip it too. It's not a huge factor here in this drink, but if you have the ability to smoke your bourbon, go ahead and do that. So 1.5 ounces of that, a half ounce of lemon, and a quarter of an ounce of maple syrup go into a shaker. Go ahead and shake that, strain it into a glass with some ice, and then top it off with some ginger beer and the most delicious garnish that we maybe ever done here on Drink Movies.
Maybe. Yeah. So you just take a marshmallow and you lightly toast it. Now, you can do this over an open flame. If you're going to do that, be careful. We have this really cool, like little blowtorch thing that we used. And that was really neat.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of them because they were too good to be forgotten. Haha. But yeah, this was amazing. If you're going to use, well, I want to say if you're going to use the maple syrup, use 100% real maple syrup. Don't use the stuff that you put over pancakes unless you use real maple syrup over pancakes. And that's what you should do, actually, in all things. But don't use the fake stuff because it will not taste the same. The viscosity is going to be way off because it needs to be. I don't know. I think it'll be way too syrupy if you do it with the fake stuff. So I really loved this drink. I loved the way it looked. I thought it was inspired tasting. The way we smoked the bourbon was really nice. And so it I don't know, it wasn't so smoky where you felt like a campfire in your mouth. It wasn't like that.
Sure.
But I really liked that. And I think that the next time we watch a scary movie together or something, we should definitely do it with a different flavor of wood and see if that adds kind of a different variation to the profile.
Yeah, for sure. Because we had a couple of options there. I think we had like apple and cherry and pecan, depending on how you decide you want to pronounce that. But yeah, there were a couple of different flavors going on there. Maple syrup and bourbon is something you'll see a lot of this time of year. Down to like a classic, like old fashioned made with maple syrup as opposed to the sugar cubes there. So that's a really nice kind of flavor combination there, and just a little bit of that smoke, some nice effervescence from the ginger beer. This one was really, really nice. It felt very kind of sophisticated for a mule, right? Which is almost like a de facto cocktail. You go pretty much anywhere now, and they're going to have some sort of mule on the menu. But this one felt a little bit classier and definitely timely for this time of year, and it's going to pair up perfectly, dare I say, with our Halloween playlist, Michaela. So let's do this. Let's go toast up another couple of marshmallows. We will mix up another cocktail, and we'll be right back to assemble our tunes. We'll be right back. Okay, I was giving it a second there to see if Michaela made any ghost sounds or if she was just going to go straight into the music. So, we talked a little bit about this here at the top, Michaela, but this isn't really any sort of, I don't know, like no rhyme or reason to it. We just said, let's come up with some Halloween songs. We didn't really give ourselves much parameters for them too much, just kind of some songs that reminded us of, Halloween, of this spooky time of year, reminded us of like horror movies and things, just to kind of get us in that mindset. So we are by no means saying that these are the best, Halloween playlist songs songs of all time, even though maybe they are. I don't know. We'll see how the list comes together here. But these are just some songs that got us in the mindset, and we thought it would be fun to kind of compile these and talk about them. Really, because Halloween is often overlooked in terms of music, right? You get the standards, the Purple People Eater and the Monster Mash, those kinds of things that you hear all the time. But there are some songs that definitely have a little bit darker of a tone to them. And let's get into the playlist, Michaela. So I'll get us started off here. My first song is Closer by Nine Inch Nails. So this is the second single off of the 1994's Downward Spiral. Rolling Stone says that this is the 271st best song of all time in their most recent poll. The drum machine here gets us started off. It's sampling Iggy Pop's Nightclubbing, and it beats kind of like a heart throughout this song. But if you listen really close to the start, you hear that kind of eerie, like downward spiral thing that comes in really hard at the end, but you can hear it at the beginning. So it's really going through the whole song, keeping you in that mindset, because this album is real, real dark. Everyone, or most people kind of know this song because of that pointedly obscene lyrical hook, right? I want to do something to someone there. But the interesting part of the song to me isn't really that. It's kind of the layering of these things that happen over the course of the song. The downward spiral is as an album that's talking about like mental and emotional breakdowns. It's really tough to listen to, actually, if you're in a dark place. Heed my advice right there. This song, it's almost like a summary then of the album, kind of in the way that it's constructed. It gets really stressfully dark and deranged the further you go down into this song. And I chose this song because the precursor version of it is the title theme for one of my all-time favorite horror movies, which maybe we'll talk about sometime in the future. Stars Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. So there you go. Michaela, Closer by Nine Inch Nails. Is this a good addition to our Halloween playlist?
Yeah. So when you sent me your list and this made it to the top, I was like, yes, we're really going there. Because first I was like, how in the world are we going to talk about this song without this becoming an explicit lyrics kind of episode? Because we try to not do that here at Drink the Movies, despite Michaela's huge potty mouth. But I gotta say, this song scared the crap out of me when I heard this when it came out. It scared me to death. First of all, I was young and I didn't want anything to happen to me like an animal. So if somebody's like saying those things, I was like, that's vile and gross. I didn't like that. But I agree, listening to it as an adult, the thing that gets me every time is the layers of the sounds that's happening, right? And the lyrics are pretty raw. They're very like it depending on who you talk to, they're like, that is like the best form of flattery, like saying that someone is bringing them closer to God and they want to feel them and they want to, and it's like, yeah, but it's very raw. And it's like, I don't know if we're going to enjoy that union of two people. That I don't know. But the layering of the actual sounds, and the last like minute and a half, there are no lyrics. And so you get this like piano mixed with this weird like reverb. I have no idea how he created this. But it's no wonder to me that Trent Reznor has become like this soundtrack guru now. Like he has done so many amazing musical artistic feats in the last few years working in movies for soundtracks and scores, and it's all incredible. And this right here is really where it gets it for me, because not only is it terrifying, you're also, as an adult, you're kind of intrigued and scared, and it's that thing right there that makes this probably one of my favorite kind of Halloween-ish songs of all time, because you're terrified but you still want more.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The way that the way that it comes together and it just keeps kind of overlapping these sounds, and it's kind of you want it to be over, but you want it to keep going at the same time, and it's really kind of magical in that sense in terms of spooky Halloween songs. So that is how we are getting started up. Michaela, what song are you going to be getting us going with here today?
So as soon as I saw this, I thought, well, I have to counter it with something that is similar to in the hard rock kind of sense. And so I picked none other than Dragula by Rob Zombie. It's from the album Hellbilly Deluxe. Okay. It was released on August 24th of 1998. The song also appears on Rob Zombie's Past, Present, and Future and his greatest hits album, which is called The Best of Rob Zombie. The original single includes like a big beat remix of the song Charlie Clouser entitled Hot Rod Herman. This song has layers to it as well. So I thought it was kind of a nice juxtaposition to the Closer song in that it's got a lot of kind of, although harder and harsher kind of beats to it. It also has some really tough lyrics that are real dark. And I gotta say, the first time I heard this, it was I think it was the fall, and it was raining outside, and I was like, I'm gonna descend into a pit of hell. This is not a song for folks that are trying to ride the rainbow train up into, alleviate their mood. This is not it for them.
My parents warned me about Rob Zombie. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Rob Zombie is a master of these horror tales, right? And we get Rob Zombie here. This is the debut single from Rob Zombie, who's no longer from White Zombie. Kind of going off there on his own for sure. This song is amazing. It's one of my favorite, just harder rock songs of all time. It's got this opening dialogue that is Christopher Lee talking from the 1960 horror film City of the Dead. That's pretty cool. This song is also playing, not going to get into movies too much here, but it's playing in the nightclub where Neo goes to follow the White Rabbit in the Matrix, and that's pretty cool. This song is cranked up to 11 throughout, cranked up to 11 in terms of guitars, in terms of adrenaline, in terms of excess and horror film imagery. An all-time great rock song by an all-time great showman of the undead, Rob Zombie. I've actually seen Rob Zombie in concert like a bunch of times, actually, like 4 times maybe. I think he's been part of this rock and roll festival I've been going to up in Columbus, Ohio for several years. So I actually saw him this year. He was performing there as well, and he's getting a little bit older, but he knows how to weave a tale of horror, both in his music and in his directing of these horror remakes. So yeah, Dragula by Rob Zombie. That's a good one, Michaela.
Yeah, I thought so. What do you got next for me, dude?
All right. Carrying on here, we are going with The House of the Rising Sun by The Animals. So The House of the Rising Sun was first collected into a folk compilation in the Appalachians of the United States of America. Here, just kind of in our neck of woods. Michaela, pretty close by. This song is a warning song called The Rising Sun Blues originally. Prostitution, gambling, addiction have all been sung about in various forms and versions of the songs. And it's a reminder, Michaela, to be careful in the most haunted place in America, New Orleans. So The Animals 1964 version is the one I'm talking about. It's the one most people know. Bob Dylan also did a version of this, but everyone knows The Animals one. That's the one you think of when you think of this song. And kind of the pieces of the song, though, are super old. They're going back like 300 years, different kind of versions of this song. So that makes it kind of spooky in itself. There's a lot of things that happen in 300 years. Apparently, while on tour, The Animals here, they were on tour with Chuck Berry, and they heard a folk singer singing this tune in Newcastle, of all places, and they decided to cover it on stage that night at their performance. Was it supernatural influence, a deal with the devil? Whatever it was, it would go on to become the Animals' biggest hit, a #1 hit here in the United States, which was something no British band other than the Beatles had ever done. Number 471 on Rolling Stone's top 500 song list, and kind of surprising to me that you don't hear the song more often, because despite the fact that it's creepy and it's, darker folk roots, this is the coolest damn song. House of the Rising Sun is a really cool song.
It is a really cool song. It's got this hauntability. I think what you're saying, what you say totally makes sense. I didn't know that this song was 300 years old, but it gives me chills, because when you think about it, this song has resonated in the hearts and skins of, I don't know, what is that, 16 generations now, or 20 generations of people. That totally makes sense, that this, and whatever this song is actually about, that lyrical dun 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 dun. I'm not doing it justice, but you know what I'm talking about. That the licks of the guitar, it immediately kind of centers you and shakes you a little free from, wherever you are, and you're immediately in this vulnerable place. And this song talks about a house in New Orleans. A lot of people think it's like a house of ill repute. Some people think it's a church. Some people think that everybody's got a different story of what it is, and how it can change a person. And like this idea of the deal with this deal with the devil that you make in this house. And again, it leaves you wanting more. All of these are like really kind of bothersome, but then you're like, I'm just going to give that one more listen, and it's totally awesome.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, that was kind of one of the things that I kept coming back to, and going through here these songs, because I just I put them on my headphones while I'm writing my notes, and the song would just kind of kick over, and you almost get into like sucked in to the worlds that these songs are weaving. So yeah, House of the Rising Sun for me. All right, you're up, Michaela.
All right. So this next one, I have to say, you might not have heard of. And listeners out there,
can confirm.
I'm sorry if you haven't heard of it, but you need to go listen to it. You need to listen to it when it's like dark and you're driving. That is, but drive safely. Everybody, don't drive distracted. Yes. Put this song on when it's dark and you're driving, because that's how I heard this song the first time. I've got kind of a spooky story about it. If you'll indulge me.
Absolutely.
So I had an iPod, like most people in the early 2000s, and I put a ton of stuff from Napster that I didn't buy. I was one of those people, okay? I buy all my music now because I think that's the right thing to do. But when I was young, that's what I did. And I put so much music on my iPod. I didn't probably know all the things that I put on it. And so sometimes songs would just show up and I'd be like, I love this. What is that? And it was weird because I will never forget this. It was Halloween and it was like, I don't know, 2002 maybe. I was driving home and I lived in the middle of the woods. So I was driving down a really big highway, but it was pitch black. There was no lights. And this song comes on. Now, this is Hey Pretty by Poe. And it's not just the first version. It is Hey Pretty, the Drive-By 2001 mix version. And there are very big differences. This one came on and I immediately was like, oh my God, what is this? First of all, I think it's a totally hot song. I think this guy named, Poe's brother, Mark Z. Danielewski, I'm hoping I say his name right. He wrote this book called House of Leaves, and he reads from that book over some of the vocals. And that is what makes this the drive-by mix versus the original Hey Pretty song. And I love it. I think the lyrics are really hot. I think they're very sexy, but I also think they're very dangerous. And you're on this precipice of like things going from really great and really amazing to terribly wrong any second. And it's talking about driving down Mulholland Drive. If you've never done that, it's a twisty, windy road. You could die any second. This girl's really hot. She's like really into this guy, and then she looks over at him and says, hey, pretty, want to take a ride with me? And you kind of do, but you're probably going to die at the end of it.
Bad idea.
It's so
Bad
good.
Idea. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like you said, Michaela, I have never heard the song until you put it on our playlist here today. And I was a little confused at first because I said, you said to listen to Hey Pretty by Garbage, and I said, there's no such song as that, Michaela. But fair play to you, because if you listen to the song, if you're familiar with the band Garbage at all, this sounds a lot like a Garbage song. So I can totally see how you might mix those two up. Because the song, like the band Garbage, is really, really great. You mentioned the kind of the reading of the book there by her brother. And apparently when this song came out, it had no home on the radio, because apparently in the year 2000, when her album Haunted came out, radios were shying away from female-led bands. And Michaela, there is nothing more horrifying during Halloween or any time than sexism. So Poe went ahead and remixed that with her brother to get it on there. Basically, they're like, if you have like a guy on the song, then we can put it in. So she calls her brother. That's how they got it put onto the radio. So yeah, like you said, Michaela, she's telling this tale, right? She's talking about this woman on the prowl, herself, for like sex, for drugs, for high-speed car chases. It has kind of, the song itself has kind of like this new like crime noir kind of vibe to it. Yeah. It's kind of the vibe that I get from it, and it uses excess, and it feels like Poe is taking us along on her bender.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, it's It's one of my favorite songs when they talk about that he's unzipping her pants and it's the longest unzipping of his life. I'm like immediately entranced. I was young. I still think this is one of the scariest yet hottest songs ever. Go listen
Mm.
to it, everybody. Hey Pretty, Drive By 2001 mix. It's by Poe. It is not by Garbage. Sorry, Garbage. Sorry, Poe. My bad. But it's amazing. And maybe it'll show up on your Halloween night just
Mm.
as you're driving down the road in the dark.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe shout out to Garbage. Maybe I think I'm Paranoid would be a good Halloween song there. So throw Garbage onto your playlist too. Next up for me, I'm going to go with a song that I was not familiar with until you and I went to see Miss Taylor Swift at the Eras concert tour here. This is Look at What You Made Me Do by Taylor Swift. Oh, because she's dead, says Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift channels her inner Lady Gaga and the I'm Too Sexy, Right Said Fred hook. Say Right Said Fred. It's a writing credit here on this one. But Taylor is weaving a tale of jealousy and revenge. This coming from her 2017 album Reputation. Like I said, I wasn't familiar with this song at all, but we were there at the theater watching it, and I'm like, this song is incredible. This song is haunting. This song is going to be perfect on my Halloween playlist, and it is. It kind of muffles her voice through the bridge, and then she kind of does like this super creepy giggle thing, and everything cuts out except her voice, and she just says, Taylor can't come to the phone right now because she's dead. It's really dark, and I love that a lot. So this made it up to number one on the U.S. Billboard charts. It is 4 times platinum single, and Taylor's version is supposedly coming out sometime soon. And just like the song says, Taylor wants to be the actress in our bad dreams.
Yeah. Well, that worked. Because I think you're
Worked.
right. This is very, it's like, is she planning to kill somebody? Is she planning on doing something even creepier, like killing herself and making it look like somebody else did it because she wants their revenge? Like
Mm-hmm.
it conjures up all these other kind of ideations of like, what if you were going to get revenge or you were going to get back at somebody or make them look bad, what would you do? And it's like, oh, look at what you made me do. And then it's the just the conjuring of like her eyes and like just very creepy. I really liked this because it's also quite poppy and it's been on the radio a lot. So it's got it, nobody's the language is okay. Apparently now we're okay with women-led bands, so we're hearing it all the time. It's all the good
Great. Yeah,
things.
we've made it back full circle. Yeah, for sure. It was really good one. Like I said, when I saw it there in the Eras tour, I'm like that is a perfect Halloween song. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So speaking of revenge, my next song is Tear You Apart, which is a song by
Mm.
an American band, She Wants Revenge, which is interesting. It was their second single from their self-titled studio debut album that came out in January 2006. And the song actually reached number 6 on the Billboard Alternative Songs chart and number 122 on the Hot 100. This song, I don't know if you had heard this before. Had you heard it before?
I had not heard it before,
Oh,
which is kind of surprising to me because maybe I have heard it before and I just didn't know it because this song was featured in my second favorite season of American Horror Story, that is American Horror Story Hotel, because Lady Gaga, who is amazing, says that this is one of her favorite songs, so I want it to be in the show. So of course it was put into the show, and then actually, after it did pretty well there, getting up the charts like you just mentioned, it had kind of a resurgence there after that show came out. But by the time that happened, the band had already broken up. So.
yeah. Yeah. It was also in a movie called The Number 23. It starred Jim Carrey, and that's the first time I heard it.
Mm.
And I heard the very beginning where you have this like these weird beats. I'm not sure what makes that sound. I don't, as an instrumentalist, you might have better take on what makes that sound. It sounded like maybe like a lighter, tinnier reverb on a guitar, maybe, but it
Hmm.
really was creepy. It sounded like chains kind of hitting tin. And so, and the lyrics are real scary. It's about this guy who's like interested in this girl, and you think it's going to be just really hot. And then all of a sudden he's like, I really kind of want to kill you. And as a woman, again, at first you're like, this could be kind of interesting. And then you're like, but It could also end up with me chopped in tiny pieces. I don't know. It definitely made me think of all of the horror films, all of like the serial killers, like the Jamie Gums, the Ted Bundys, the Charles Manson, like all of the super scary, like I'm super like if a guy is like really enigmatic and they kind of connect with you on a level, but really they're just trying to get you into their van so they can make a skin suit out of your face. Like that's kind
Yeah.
of where it went for me. I don't know.
That's right. Yeah, it is. It has turned pretty dark here on Michaela's side of the playlist for sure. So the music video actually was also directed by Joaquin Phoenix, who I think might have directed a couple of their music videos, which is also kind of interesting. And like the music video itself is set in like this high school dance. So the song is like this weird, very creepy, very dark kind of juxtaposition of like a high school crush sort of things, and kind of the darker feelings with it. So the lyrics here go from like super nervous, like high school crush, to being like crazy, like vicious, at the drop of the hat. It's really weird and off-putting. The vocals have kind of this monotonous tone, and then there's like these droning kind of keyboards, and like you said, that kind of plinking sound is probably done on some sort of like synthesizer or electric organ, something like that. She Wants Revenge is not a band, as I'd mentioned, I was very familiar with. Apparently they used to do a lot of touring with Depeche Mode, so if you're interested in what kind of sounds She Wants Revenge is, it's the kind of sounds that a band that might go on tour with Depeche Mode makes. So there you go. That is Tear You Apart by She Wants Revenge. It's a darker tone, darker tale for sure on your Halloween playlist. So what do we got next? We've got Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones, or one of the 10,000 different covers of this there have been. So this comes from the 1966 album Aftermath. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards spin a haunting tale of grief, loss, and a funeral of a girlfriend. The song here is composed in a minor key, which a lot of these songs here on this list are, but that gives it kind of this eerie, darker feeling. Not in a major key, in a minor key. That makes it sound a little scary there. There's a sitar. It's kind of rolling through the song, and the song at the end, it goes a little bit unhinged, right? You go a little bit crazy feeling here as you want everything painted black, right? I want to see the sun blotted out from the sky. Rolling Stone magazine places this at number 213 on their top 500 songs. Number one single, like I said, hundreds of covers, but maybe my favorite and spookiest cover of Paint It Black comes from the Vitamin String Quartet, which is really excellent. And if you're wanting some nice ambiance music, check out Vitamin String Quartet's covers of things, these little orchestral compositions. So really good. Paint It Black, Michaela, it is a song that everyone knows. Everyone kind of interprets kind of however they want to. But what do you think about the Rolling Stones here?
Ooh, it's creepy. I think everybody is familiar with kind of the haunting beginning where the way that da da na 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 na, right? That's whether it's done via like a string or it's done with a guitar or a violin or a viola, it's still very haunting. I like this is a great example of something that's kind of rockish, but then you listen to the words and it's anything but upbeat. Like I want to paint everything black, the world is ending. And I really like that again, I think what makes things creepy and scary for me and kind of haunting is that things seem like they're right on edge, where it seems like things might be okay, but really they're not. And I feel like, especially at the end, when it just kind of goes a little crazy, you feel like if I were seeing them on stage, this would be the point where, the psychotic break would happen. And then they would just kind of go into this debauchery on stage of sound and music and artistry in that sense. This is one of my favorite Rolling Stone songs. I don't think it's probably anybody's surprise. I mean, it gets tons of accolades. I feel like it's been in a lot of films. It's been in a lot of kind of creepy shows because of the way that it's that opening kind of register sounds. To me, it's very much like, what would you give to, and how desperate would you be to not feel this way? And what would you give up? Kind of a deal with the devil, kind of, because he's like, I'll do anything. But I just want to paint it all black.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's one of the all-time great songs for sure. And it definitely fits well in on any Halloween playlist, I think.
Absolutely. It's my turn. Oh, okay. So this next one, man, I don't get any lighter. All people, listeners, I'm sorry. We're going right. Oh man.
This
So
is
my
how
next song,
Michaela celebrates Halloween.
but yeah, it is. It's all like, wow. All right, we'll talk about it. So my next one is Stan by none other than Eminem.
Ooh, okay.
This song I remember hearing when it first came out, which I think was in 2003. Hold on.
2000, 2000.
2000. Okay. So I was in college. Again, this was during the era of Napster, and I'm sorry. But I remember this kind of showing up on a boyfriend's playlist, and I was so shook. I didn't move from the seat that I was in for about 30 minutes because it starts off with rain pouring down. It starts off with this really beautiful opening lines from Dido's song "Thank You," and so you don't know what it is really going to be, but you hear this thunder rolling. You hear that it's very dark sounding, and then Eminem just comes up and he's singing the song, and it's really just this really sad story of this kid named Stan, who's Eminem's biggest fan, and he's trying to get him to write him back, and he's not getting attention, and then he just he's probably got some emotional and mental issues already, but he takes that to the very biggest and most horrible extreme that you could think of. Mm-hmm. And interspersed with this, you get Dido's like melodic music of how like at the end of the day, it's not so bad because I have you. And it's really haunting and terrifying.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's sampling that Dido song, like you mentioned there, which actually went on to gain its own popularity. It's not a song we probably ever would have heard of here in the United States had Eminem not decided to sample it. And her song there, it went all the way up to into the top 10 on the U.S. Billboard charts, kind of after. This song is coming off of the Best Album nominated Grammy album there, the Marshall Mathers LP. And yeah, it's telling this tale of this crazed fan who's kind of corresponding with Eminem, right? Writing him letters before ultimately taking his own life. And I guess Eminem wrote it as kind of a way to shed some light on like the actual fan interactions that he was having at that time, which is not great. But the song itself is really great. So there's callbacks to like previous lines and themes from other Eminem songs, which is really, really brilliant in this very kind of morbid tale here. Stan is important for a lot of reasons. The song, it gets its own addition to the Oxford English Dictionary as a crazed fan, Stan in the dictionary. So thank you, Eminem, for expanding our vocabulary. This is the 223rd best song of all time, according to Rolling Stone. And Eminem went on to perform this. I think it was at the Grammys potentially with Sir Elton John singing the Dido part. So bummer to Dido to not get to go and do it. But I guess if someone's going to replace you, Sir Elton John, I guess is a pretty good one to go out there and to sing that part. So that's pretty cool. Eminem, has always had this way about him to create controversy, but his songwriting is so purposeful and complex. And I hope you get to read this letter. So it says,
yeah.
Tough stuff, but really good song. That's gonna come up to my last song then, Michaela. The Thunder Rolls by Garth Brooks. I was a little bit all over the place, right? Pop, country. I was kind of all over the place. This one comes from the 1991 album No Fences. It's the Garth Brooks song of Betrayal. It was first recorded by Tanya Tucker, but she never released it until 1995. So Garth Brooks gets the first crack at it here. He'd actually written it for Tanya Tucker, and she decided not to release it then. So she asked, though, Garth Brooks, when she got it, to include a fourth verse that kind of alludes to that murder at the end, right? Going to grab the gun to confront this piece of garbage that's been out running around on you. And Garth liked that and decided to leave it in on his own version. So this is a tale of philandering, of domestic violence and murder. Garth's acoustic guitar is slamming through the Thunder Rolls section. And the music video here, Michaela, it gets banned by TNN, and it was deemed too violent and too much social commentary for CMT. So what are you going to do then? Radio stations start showing the video then at fundraising events for women's shelters. That's really good. And after CMT and TNN decide not to air it, VH1 says, well, we'll air it. That sounds good. This sounds good for VH1. We'll do that. And I think probably, I don't know this specifically, but I think it went a long way into making Garth Brooks not only the biggest country star in the world, but maybe the biggest star in the world. There are very few people that are bigger than Garth Brooks in the world. And I think that their banning and VH1 airing this video went a long way to that. This is definitely kind of a folk song here. Actually, Stan by Eminem, also a folk song by all accounts, telling this tale. But the way Garth is so visual kind of in the storytelling, it's really like pulls you in. It's really engrossing. And I think it's dark and a perfect kind of October night listen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember hearing this for the very first time in school. Miss Mason, she was my English teacher, and we were covering songwriting as like in literature class in English. And Miss Mason was amazing, and she was like, "Look, we're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this video." And everybody was freaking out and I was like, "Thunder Rolls." I don't know. I was living under a rock at the time, and I didn't have television, so I had no idea what I was in for. And oh my gosh, the video brought chills. The song is amazing. The lyrics are awesome. When they talk about the thunder rolling, they're really talking about like it rolling inside of a marriage and outside at the same time. I mean, it's the amazingness with which this interaction that they're reading, that you're hearing about, that you're experiencing in the song, only happens over the course of maybe, a minute, right? Because he's driving back from where he never should have been. It's really raining and scary, and she's worried about him. And then she rushes out to see if he's okay. And then she realizes that he has been somewhere he shouldn't be, and he smells like her, and he looks meh, and the light flashes in her eyes, and she's like, "Nope, not today." And she goes to, shoot him. It's really chilling. And one of the things about country music is that it tells these really dark tales in a really beautiful ballad driven way. I'm so glad that you picked this, because this is definitely a scary tale to tell in the dark, right? It's a cautionary tale. People, don't cheat on each other. That's not cool. Don't do it. Because you're going to piss the wrong person off. Don't do that. With the thunder and everything, this is perfect for like a stormy night. Listen. Ooh.
That's right. Yeah, while you're toasting up your marshmallows for the campfire mule, you can listen to this. It's going to get you right in the right mindset. And I liked too. It talked about the music video there. Apparently, Garth Brooks plays the man, the husband here in the music video, because he wanted to make it very clear that the husband was a no good person, and that by the end of the video, everyone would be glad that he's getting himself shot for all the bad stuff he'd been doing. So that is it. That concludes my 5. Michaela, you have 1 left. What do you got for us?
So I thought we were already at like the pinnacle of the depth of human grossness, but then I remembered this film. Oh my gosh! Then I remembered this song from the late '90s that also I was never the same after hearing it, and it's Polly from Nirvana, which, yeah, it's on a number of lists of like the most disturbing songs of all time. So it was released in September of 1991. It's from the album Nevermind, which probably everybody knows. I'm not telling you anything anybody doesn't already know. This song was actually written about the abduction, rape, and torture of a 14-year-old girl returning home from a punk rock concert in Tacoma, Washington. And that happened in 1987. And it's written from the perspective of the perpetrator. Polly has frequently been cited as evidence of Cobain's support of feminism and women's rights. I will never forget the first time I heard this song, because it was my friend Jeremy's favorite album. This album, I mean, it was a lot of people's favorite album. I mean, Nirvana was on fire for like 6 solid years in the 90s. But this song, I was like, what is this? And he told me about what it was about. And it just, I can't even listen to it without getting teary-eyed, without it prickling my skin. It's just the fact that it's based on a true story is just really awful. Yeah, real deep, real dark, real scary for Halloween. but it's a real
Yeah.
fear instead of ghosts and
It is.
goblins.
It is a real fear. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so actually Kurt Cobain had written the song a few years prior to this and had kind of performed it kind of off and on at different live things. And then yeah, it ends up going on to Nevermind, which came out in 1991, which is the sixth greatest album of all time, according to Rolling Stone. Like you said, Mikhail, this is told from the perspective of the abductor, but the girl in Polly, just like the actual girl that the song was inspired by, kind of get the upper hand and escape their captor at the end. So this song was played and recorded on a $20 pawn shop guitar, which apparently was a real garbage guitar, but Kurt loved playing it, loved the way that it sounds. You get a bass guitar in there, and I think there are two cymbal crashes. So basically, it's just Kurt Cobain weaving this tale on this junky old guitar. The song itself is meant to be kind of satirical and make you feel real uncomfortable, which it does. It has a lot of uneasiness to it. But Kurt Cobain was very vocal about his support of women and feminism and feminist rights. I'm actually going to link in the episode notes here really, really interesting article I found in Affinity magazine that breaks down kind of some of these songs and some of the charitable work and a bunch of the liner notes that Kurt had written throughout his time there, telling us stories before he took his own life there. So yeah, Polly is a good one. Yeah, you went dark on your five, Michaela. You went pretty dark on your five. I have to say, I don't know about Halloween parties with you. I don't know.
I mean, well, I will say, and I will die on this hill, it was better than Monster Mash. I mean, come on now.
True. Can confirm. Can confirm.
Right.
I mean, Monster Mash definitely has its place. Although our patron, Cassia, sent us in a couple of picks for herself, and she said, anything but Monster Mash, basically was what she said. So yeah, I think we're definitely on the same page. I'm gonna run through just a couple of these because I know we had kind of some honorable mentions here. One that you definitely wanted to talk about, and this was a song that would have probably made it onto my list, but Cassie had already picked it. But You Make Me Feel Like It's Halloween by Muse. That is a newer song coming out, I think, in 2022. I think that album came out. That's a really good one. We've got the Diary of Jane by Breaking Benjamin. We've got My Boy Builds Coffins by Florence and the Machine. That's off of the Lungs album. That song is absolutely great, and it's kind of telling a dark tale, right? My boy, my partner, builds coffins, doesn't build these other things, and eventually is going to build a coffin for himself and for me and for you too. So pretty morbid stuff there. Really, really good song. And then one that you wanted to talk about here in particular, Michaela, that was sent our way. This one is the version by Cinematic Pop featuring McKenna Breinholt, but the song is Sweet Dreams.
That's right. I really maybe should have cut down on the darkness just a little bit, because I think Sweet Dreams, by originally when I first started, it was by the Eurythmics, and it is haunting and kind of with that synthesizer sound. It's really kind of poppy, but also very dark. And then, gosh, in the early 2000s, I want to say Marilyn Manson came out with a version that is even darker and grittier and much more scary, in my opinion. Much less poppy. You're not dancing to it. You're like kind of just listening to it, hoping that you make it through. So I'm excited. I was excited to talk about this one because I think that some of these songs, like you've said, House of the Rising Sun, the Paint It Black, like there've been a lot of other versions of these songs because of their popularity in their darkness, and they all have kind of different things to layer on top of them to make them either spooky or creepy or less so, which I find really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's always interesting when you get these kind of stories that resonate with people, and in terms of making different covers of them and things, and the way you can kind of tweak them. And yeah, in the case of Sweet Dreams, you can take a song that's kind of darker in tone, but then really turn it up to 11. Marilyn Manson was kind of known for that thing, and Beautiful People and stuff kind of being his other big hits, which probably would have been a welcome addition here to this playlist as well. So yeah, that is kind of our Halloween playlist that we put together. Like I said, these are by no means meant to be like an exhaustive list of Halloween songs, but we thought that they were kind of creepy and spooky and captured the vibe of Halloween, right? Just like every every year you sit down, you kind of watch through, kind of your favorites or those classic horror films, monster tales, stuff like that. And these tunes definitely kind of capture that essence when we're thinking about what we want to listen come this time of year. Leaves are changing, jack-o'-lanterns are glowing, and horror is in the air for sure. So, Michaela, this week's cocktail is really nice. Campfire Mules from Delish. Definitely make up one of those. I know you're probably going to make up another one or two of these as we work our way to Halloween. But what do you think? What do you think about our first playlist compilation here?
I really liked it. I think that this could be a start of something that we do, maybe not every week, because I really like our volumes where we talk about albums, but I really kind of like some of this where we get to pick a theme and talk about it because there's so much music out there, and learning about songs that maybe I didn't know enough about or that you had never heard before, as dark as they were. I thought that was really a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun to sit back and think of what songs were going to fit well in here for sure, and then do a little bit of a kind of a little mini deep dive on each of these. I thought was a really good time. So let us know at home if you're listening along. What songs would you have put on your playlist, or what songs did we miss, or were any of these songs no good for the playlist? Let us know all that stuff. Let us know if you make a campfire mule. Send us pictures. We want to see it. So you can do that and contact us on our social medias. That's at Drink the Movies on Instagram and X and Threads and Blue Sky and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to go to Patreon, that's where we're taking some feedback for what albums we're picking, what songs to include on our playlists here, bonus episodes, all that kind of stuff. That's on Patreon.com/Drink the Movies. If you want to see episode recaps, pictures of our cocktails, links to all of that stuff, you can do that on our website, which is www.drinkthemovies.com. And Michaela, if they're listening to the podcast, they're out doing some trick-or-treating maybe, or putting together their own scary compilation, where should they swing by to make sure they are subscribed to the podcast?
You can find us on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. If you are listening to us right now on your rectangle, I promise there is a subscribe button. We do 2 drops a week. We do things like this every now and then, but we really love our volumes of Drink the Music. Hopefully someday we'll be able to get back to Drink the Movies as well. We're just really knocked out and amazed by the community that you're building on our Discord site, on our Patreon site, on all of our social medias, where we combine these art forms as well as the love of cocktails. Really helps us get the Drink the Movies out there. So if you're loving it, tell your friends, share your stuff on social media. We would be very grateful.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Absolutely. I'm going to be grateful when this ghost gets out of the studio for sure. It's haunting me down to the bone for sure. So that's going to conclude it here for our Halloween Spooktacular playlist mashup episode. It was a really fun time. So hopefully everyone out there is listening to this. Hopefully you have a safe and happy Halloween. Be careful out there trick-or-treating. Be careful if you're having some campfire mules. Make sure you're doing so responsibly, having a good time, and let us know what your favorite Halloween tracks are. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
the
the music.
It did the mash. It was the monster mash.
Monster mash, the monster mash.